Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Go Beyond. I hope that you are having a happy Friday. My name is Alyssa Robinson. I am the digital strategist here at Trietsch, and I am here with Senior Pastor Reverend Daniel Humbert. And today we are going to start something new where we talk about the Huddle Guide that is sent out every week and accompanies the worship topic for the week. Sorry, I stumbled over my words on that one. But the Huddle Guide is available to you every week, either through a blog post or in your sermon notes in the TMUMC app. So I just want to show you real quick, if you've pulled up your Trietsch app, I just want you to click on sermon notes. And today we're going to go over the Huddle Guide from Pastor Doug's message on Sunday. So that was the September 6th message, Benefits of Waiting. I'm going to click into that. And so if you want to follow along with us and see some of the questions that we're going through, it is called the Huddle Discussion within the worship notes. So that's how you can access it. But now I'm going to pass it off to Daniel to kind of explain where the Huddle Guide came from, why we do this, because this is something that we've been doing as a resource at Trietsch for a long time, and you might not know about it. But the Huddle Guide is a great resource for you to dig deeper on your own into worship each Sunday.
Absolutely. It's been going on for about 6 months, which means it started just before this thing called COVID. And that's why some of you may not know what it is. We started this back in March, early March. Well, no, I guess it was late February. We started it in late February, and it was designed by its name, Huddle, to go with those groups of people who are volunteers on Sunday mornings that help make ministry happen, whether that's the hospitality team, some of our teaching teams, the media and worship teams, some of these folks who might not normally be in worship because they're actually making ministry happen on Sunday mornings. And so we started this Huddle Guide as a way to say, hey, we want to help you know what's going on in worship, what the message is, what it's talking about, and hopefully use it as a way to help build your faith and grow you in a relationship with Jesus. So there's some real basic stuff. Hey, what's the main message for the week? And then there's key scripture. And then there's some other things that are generative for you to talk through. And it was designed, again, for those groups of people we call huddles, to talk over in just a few short minutes on Sunday morning. What does this mean to me? What does this mean to my faith? And how does it relate to the message of the day? And then there were some next steps as well. And the next steps were literally things you could do, whether tangibly or otherwise, that could help you go one step further in your faith development. And so we started doing this in February, and then all of a sudden we stopped worshiping on site where we needed those teams to do ministry. And so we also started sort of incorporating it into the worship notes, as you've just mentioned in the app. And so we're hoping that either you've sort of caught a glimpse of it, maybe didn't know what it was, or you've actually started using it. And so we want to spend some time today, just kind of going over it so that you know a little bit more of it. But it's purely designed to help you in a very real and relevant way take the message a little bit deeper for you in the succeeding week.
And the hope is, this is something, so today we're going to talk through the Huddle Discussion questions. And these are just 3 questions that you could pull up in the app and ask around the dinner table with your family. And this is a great way for us to grow together, even if we can't be in the same room together. But for those that you can be in the same room with, let's challenge each other and start to ask some questions.
Absolutely.
So my first question, straight out of the Huddle Guide, Huddle Discussion today, is how do you approach having to wait?
Oh, you're asking me.
Well, I'll answer too. This will be different from me getting to grill you and interview you. But yeah, you go first.
Well, of course, in the typical sense, I'm an impatient guy, so I don't like to wait at all. And so in the typical sense of waiting, I approach it very impatiently. But with regard to the message that Doug brought to us, I approach this waiting, which is the sort of banding together, with excitement, because it helps remind me that I don't have to do this by myself, that God is in this with me and that God's going to help me. And so I do that with great anticipation.
I do not approach waiting very well. And what I tend to do is make assumptions about other people. The reason I'm having to wait is because you're being lazy and you're not doing what you should be doing. And the reason I'm having to wait is because the system is messed up and we need to fix it. And so I'm always looking for actions that I can take to feel like, because when you're waiting, you're out of control. And I want to feel like I'm in control.
I
And
would never
so
ask that of you, ever. I would never, I don't understand.
I want to feel like I'm in control. And so oftentimes when I'm put in a position of waiting, I will find things to do to make me feel like I'm in control of making that waiting go by faster, or pushing other people for them to do their part so I don't have to wait as long.
I'm, I'm going to start making you wait. I want to just see. I want to see what that looks like.
You will see an ugly side of me. Not great for a professional environment.
Yeah.
But I think that the message on Sunday and our conversations and Go Beyond this week has kind of made me think differently about waiting and equating that more with trusting.
Yeah.
So when I'm waiting on the Lord, I'm trusting on the Lord, which I also have issues with, because trust is, once again, relinquishing some of that control. And so this whole topic for me, the very next question in the huddle discussion was, do you have positive or negative feelings about waiting? I bet y'all can guess what my answer is.
I'm seeing hives right there on your neck. That's what
I know. But yeah, but I think there are times that, going on to the next question of, is it positive or negative? I, in hindsight, see positivity come out of the waiting. And a great example for me, it was the year 2019 was marked by my divorce. And that was a whole lot of waiting, of not knowing my future and not knowing what was going to happen. But I had a conversation with friends just last night saying, this might sound crazy, but there are some times that I miss 2019 because never in my life have I experienced so much spiritual and personal growth so quickly as when I was forced into waiting.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I think there's a lot of reality to that. So again, I go back to that analogy that Doug used of the rope, because those intertwines of the rope, when they're taut, it's not pleasant, right? Because it's pulling on something or holding something, and yet that's what gives it its strength. And so you've just described a very kind of taut circumstance, right? It was very strenuous, very difficult. Certainly you would never want to go through that again, right? And yet it has strengthened who you are as a person. It sounds like it has strengthened your faith, and it's caused you to sort of look at things and or even interface with things in a different way that you probably weren't going to do before. And so all of those things that clearly had some negative outcomes also in the waiting caused the opportunity for growth and stretching, again, with the analogy. And how cool is that? And that's the gift of the waiting that Doug was talking about, and the gift that God is offering. If only we will sort of view it as such. Otherwise, I view it as impatience and get uptight. You view it as there's a certain loss of control. Man, what a gift it can be. Yeah.
Well, and that kind of leads into our last question in the huddle discussion, which, I just want to emphasize how quick and easy and straightforward these questions are. But it asks, are you willing to flip waiting into something positive in your life? And it sounds like both of us are willing to do that and have done that before. But I want to revise the question a little bit to say, how can we better flip waiting into something positive in our lives?
Yeah. Well, I love Doug's analogy, right? He talked about the doctor's office, and he literally ripped off the paper and started writing things that was going to help him. And I have done similar kinds of things where in the waiting of literal holding place, of finding ways to either talk to God through even what's known as breath prayers, simple, statements of faith, or to have what I call faced conversations with somebody else that just says, hey, help me out here and help me walk through what this means, or let me tell you where I am, and please just sort of bounce off of me what you're hearing from what I'm talking about. I find those very helpful in the waiting points. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, for me, going to a meditational state of taking a deep breath, clearing my mind, physically feeling my body release and letting go is very helpful for me. But then also, it's all about attitude. And so one of the things that I've, found myself doing is, now that I've been through what I've been through in 2019, I can look back on that moment and see that good came out of it. I can see that I grew from it, and I can see that I have much more strength and perseverance than I knew. And so when new things come my way that I am in waiting, I have to remind myself that I've done this before, and I made it, and my relationship with God strengthened because of that. And I feel like having that mindset keeps me from feeling the need to take control over everything, because look how much beauty and good can come when you let go of that control.
Exactly right. Speak that wisdom, number 8.
I mostly have to speak it to myself.
No, I mean, literally, you're demonstrating in a very tangible way what he was saying and what that word waiting means. And it is unfortunate in our English language that we just have such a negative connotation of this concept. But that's why I love that, why he brought the Hebrew word kava, up to point out that it's this binding together, and that it creates a positive kind of tension that can be very impactful and long-standing, like you're describing. So that's really cool.
Well, thank y'all for joining us. Once again, I want to encourage y'all to download the TMUMC app and click into those sermon notes each week, because we have extra resources. We have fill in the blanks that you're not necessarily going to get in other places. And so it goes deeper into the scripture. And participate with us in this huddle guide. Read it in advance so that when we go Beyond on Mondays moving forward, you've thought about the questions, and maybe you have some answers that you could leave in the comments and alert us of something. Maybe you thought about it in a way that didn't even cross our minds, and we'd love to hear that from you.
Absolutely. And let me give a quick plug for our new worship series that starts this coming Sunday called Shift Happens. And in that,
be careful with the pronunciation of that one.
I know, I got to make sure. And I just want to remind us that the huddle guide and the worship notes will have even extra stuff this coming week and over the next several weeks to help our parents and those who are like parents to help kids out. So excited about that.
All right. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye.